you have to make a decision. So now you have to decide as an auditor what's your upper level rate of deviation. That's the ULRD, upper level rate of deviation. And if that is less than your tolerable, greater than your tolerable rate of deviation, then basically what you're saying, if something is greater than your tolerable rate of deviation, you're basically saying, I can't rely on this. The controls are not operating effectively, right? Conclude that internal control is not functioning effectively. Then you have to decide, what do I do next? Right? I've done this test, what do I do next? The auditor can make a decision of whether or not they're going to increase the sample size in hopes of supporting their planned level of controlled risk, because remember, you set a planned level of control risk back in the planning stage, right? You assessed internal control risk as either effective or not. You can increase your level of control risk, leading to more effective substantive procedures, lower detection risk. You want to lower your risk that your auditing procedures will not detect a material misstatement or an exception in the case of internal controls. Right? So what this is saying to you is that you, as an auditor, that control risk assessment is not static. Right? It's not, I made that back in the planning stage so it stays as it is. It's not static. You have to address that, right? So in either event, it means doing additional work. Because if you increase your sample size, you're going to have to test those items again, right? You're going to have to test more items. Or you increase your level of control risk, so you've adjusted control risk, that means you do more substantive testing. So it's a trade-off between the auditor makes a decision about whether or not they're going to do additional test of transactions and test of controls, or are they going to do more substantive detail testing, substantive test of details. Right. That's their decision, but it involves doing more work. So you wouldn't necessarily say, oh, controls are not functioning, they're material misstatements, I'm going to give an adverse opinion or a qualified opinion. Make sense? If your upper level rate of deviation is less than or equal to your tolerable rate of deviation, then you can conclude that the internal controls are operating effectively. Right? What you do is maintain your planned level of control risk. You can basically say, okay, well, as I suspected or assessed in my planning stage, control risk is as I expected. So now I'm just going to move ahead and follow my audit plan from the start, from the beginning, and do my planned effectiveness of substantive procedures, right? Test those. And determine the cause of the detected deviations. Because remember, right, you might not find something that leads to where you conclude that there's a material misstatement, but there are deviations. And so you want to determine what the deviations are. Because as auditors, you have to give an opinion, you're issuing an opinion on the report of internal controls, right? Internal controls over financial reporting. So it's important to understand the nature of those deviations. Also, from a more, providing some feedback to your client, you want to, talk to them about deviations that you found.